All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. Today's discussion is on could your ISO certification be at risk? Now, the core focus of this webinar is to look at what are the things that you have to do once you get the certification. So let's get started. In terms of the agenda, we are going to talk about us briefly, and then look at the recertification timeline. Then we'll look at the top 10 reasons why recertification audits fail, and how you can protect your information, your ISO certification. And then we'll have a short demo and a Q&A. In terms of about us, founded in 2016 in Sydney, Australia. I'm Swapnil Wale. I'm the founder and the principal consultant. We have offices in 3 countries. Our resources, our compliance resources, are used by 30,000 plus professionals across the globe. We own 10 different brands, which includes ITSM docs, ISO docs, PM docs, and so on. We have over 10 years plus building compliance and governance solutions, and we support over 20 plus compliance frameworks. So that was about the company. Now, starting on the main topic, the recertification timeline. So the timeline starts from the moment you get the certificate issued. All the ISO certificates that you get come with a 3-year validity, as you say. And then beginning of the first year, on the first year, you have a surveillance audit. On the second year, you have the surveillance audit. That's the second. And then on the third year, you have your recertification audit. So every time you renew it, it gets renewed for another 3 years. There are, I know, different ways of doing it. Some customers want to do it with the same auditor. You can switch the auditor as well, but then there is a bit of paperwork which you have to do, which your new auditor has to agree to. I think if you are happy with your auditor, then you should stay. If not, you should look at other options. But what we have seen and what we also do is, sometimes the customer gets or the client gets a full package, so where we include all of that. Now, the next step is, let's talk about what's the difference between a surveillance audit and a recertification audit. The way to look at it is, surveillance audit is something that is like a light check that they do after year 1 and 2. This is essentially to make sure that you are still continuing to manage your system, you are still doing your audits, you are still making sure that you are compliant with whatever regulatory frameworks that you are supposed to be. And they also look at evidence like management reviews, whether you're doing your risk assessments, as you said you will do. And we have told this a few times in our webinars and in our sessions, that the most important thing in ISO, or to be honest, in any compliance that you manage, is to do what you say you will do. What that means is that if you have said you will do your management review every 3 months, then you need to make sure that you do it every 3 months. If you said you will do your risk assessment every 6 months, every year, then you need to do it according to that. So if you have set a policy, then and the year 1 and year 2, the surveillance audits, they are pretty light. So you just make sure that you are doing what you are supposed to, or what you said you will. And then the recertification audit, which happens after 3 years, this is like pretty much your stage 2 audit. Now, in a typical certification, we have stage 1 and stage 2. So your recertification audits are where everything is looked at. So ideally, they recommend that you start your prep and your audit and engaging your external auditor at least 3 months before your certificate expires. It depends. Certain cases, certain bodies allow you to extend even if your certificate is expired. In certain cases, they are very strict, and then you kind of need to start overall again. So it is best that you keep track of these dates, be in touch with your certification body to make sure. And a lot of what happens here also depends on the contract that you have with your certification body. Your certification body contract will drive a lot of these things. So you should make sure that you look at it and that you are in touch and with your certification body to see if anything has changed. Now, moving on, what are the top reasons we see where it could be at risk, or what are the issues? And this is not just coming from ChatGPT, or this is not coming from Claude. This is coming from a real experience with auditors. This is coming from the real issues that we say day to day. The first point, the corrective actions were closed only on paper. This is very common. Let's say you find an issue with your management system, you document it, and then you say, we are going to do this. For example, you have an issue with your asset policy, asset management policy, or you found an issue with your backup policy, and you say, okay, this is the change we are going to do, and this is how we are going to fix it. You will document it, you'll have the minutes of meeting, but the work is actually not done. Because when the auditors come in, they will look at the actual work that was done. They might ask for screenshots, they might ask for emails confirming that, they might look at the actual system configuration. It depends on the auditor how deep they want to go. The second point is where we look internal audits were incomplete or overdue. This is very normal because all the businesses have pressures, all the businesses have timelines, there are resource constraints. So sometimes they decide not to do the internal audit. This can be a very big problem when it comes to auditors looking at the effectiveness of your management system. Management reviews were not conducted effectively. Again, same thing. There's a way you have to do. You have a management review policy. You have to follow that. You have to make sure you discuss the information that is needed as per that policy. Also, one of the most important things is people forget to document these review meetings. It has to be documented properly. When we say properly, it doesn't mean it has to be a fancy template. It doesn't have to be a fancy document. It has to cover a few things. It has to cover who attended the meeting and who discussed the issues. Were all the owners, ISMS owners there? Did we look at all the risks? Did we look at all the nonconformities? Did we look at what is the plan for the system? How is it working? So all those things need to be documented. It can be a simple email which you send after the meeting, but it is important to document it at that point of time. Many times we see that it's not documented, then we go back, then we try to find emails or proof. You need proof. Auditors will not just accept it if you say, yeah, we're doing it. No. What they will want is to look at the proof. And the management system was not updated after business. This is quite common. We have leadership changes. We have departments merging. We have companies being taken over. We have new partners come in. So all this, when you do, then you need to look at your existing documentation. You need to look at your existing processes, whether they still make sense. If they don't, then you have to go and change it. There's insufficient operational evidence. A lot of people just want to implement 27001 or 9001 because their customers need it. And once they get the certificate, there is none of these activities happen. That can be a big problem because you need operational evidence. After 3 years, if you have a recertification audit and you don't have evidence that you have done management reviews for the last 3 years, or you don't have evidence that you have done risk assessment for the last 3 years, that will definitely cause a problem in your recertification. Previous nonconformities remain unresolved. So when you get a nonconformity, you need to make sure that it is addressed. You don't have to necessarily fix everything, but you can say, yeah, this is what we accepted, this is how it is, we accept the risk, or we accept the nonconformity, and you have to close it. you can't have a non-conformity open for 2 years or 3 years. It's okay to have it from one meeting to another, or it's okay if you don't have the resources, you wait for it. The real question is, with all ISO implementations, consistency and discipline is the key. You need to do those activities regularly for them to be effective. And to be honest, after spending so much money, time getting the certification, if you don't do a lot of these things, your organization will not see the benefit of it. All these ISO certifications are meant to have benefits, and you will not get the benefits if you're not disciplined or not consistent. And the next point is the legal and regulatory compliance. You have to look around your environment. You have to find out if there is a new regulation, are you compliant with it? For example, in the EU, we have DORA, we have NIS2. You need to look at, are you compliant with it? What do you need to do? That is also part of your responsibility. Then moving on to the next point, serious incidents and customer failures. This is again depends on the business, but if you are not handling your incidents, and when we say incidents, it's not only IT incidents, it's all the incidents that we're talking about. It can be a safety incident, it can be an IT incident, a security incident. So what you need to show is that you have an incident management process and you actually follow it. Having just the process is not going to help. Then the surveillance and the recertification readiness were missed. This is common. This is where people forget that they have to do a surveillance audit. They need to get in touch with their auditors. The responsibility lies with the organization to make sure that they engage with their auditors, they engage with the certification body to make sure that there is enough time to do everything that needs to get done. And the last one, there is no evidence of continual improvement. Continual improvement is just seen as an overhead, unfortunately. There is value to the process because when you look at, you can only improve what you measure. That's the reality in life. And if you don't measure, you will not improve. So unless you have those regular management review meetings, unless you look at the issues that you have in your system, it will not improve. So there is benefit to it, but unfortunately, a lot of people feel that it's a bit of an overhead. And then the last statement is your ISO certification is at risk when you just want to maintain it because you want to pass audits and because you want your customers to know. There is always a chance if you just have it for the sake of having, you will always have problems when it comes to recertification. Moving on. So what auditors ask for when they come to you for your surveillance or for your recertification audit? And like I said before, it differs from your auditors to auditors. Some auditors like to go in depth. Some auditors like to just do some checks. So it depends on your auditor. And when you do your first certification, you will get an indication as to how your auditor wants to approach. So you should be able to get some idea. But in general, what they look for is effective corrective actions with evidence. Evidence tracking is another important thing. Like I said, they will ask for screenshots. And they will ask for your backup. Where have you stored your backup? Send them the logs. And you can't recreate a lot of these things. If you have not been tracking your backups, if you have not been tracking your changes, for example, if you change your password policy in the middle of the year, but there is no document to tell why it was changed, who approved it, then that's a failure, internal control failure. Internal audits, the scope of internal audits, you have to make sure that you look at whatever you agreed to in your scope when you want the certification, that you do that. Management reviews with decisions and follow-up actions. Again, the same thing, what we discussed. An updated management system reflects business. If your business structure changes, if you have significant changes within your teams, then you need to make sure that you have to review your system and make sure that it reflects operational evidence. timely closure of like I said, non-conformities. There is no, ISO doesn't say that you have to close a non-conformity within 14 days or 90 days. It is up to you, your organization. You need to define what works for you and what doesn't. So whatever you document in your policies and you say that this is what is the target, that is what you need to achieve. And auditors always measure you against what you have documented. Legal compliance, as we discussed, you need to be aware of your surroundings, incidents. You need to make sure you have a proper customer support tracking. And when we say that, it doesn't have to be a fancy tool. It doesn't have to be an expensive software. You can just have simple tracking with an email and a spreadsheet. That works. There's no issues with that. And then, like I said, you need to plan. You need to be in touch with your certification body and evidence of continual improvement. And the last final point, what I will say is, what auditors look for is proof that you have been actually operating the system throughout the year. They don't want to just see what you have done in the last 1 month or last 2 months before the audit. They want to see a full view of the year. And if they feel that you have not been diligent enough, you have not been disciplined enough, that will definitely create a problem. And sometimes what they do is they will not sign off on your recertification or your surveillance audits and ask you to fix those issues before they sign off. So that can create a lot of stress, because then it means your certification is at risk. So if you don't do that, it is very important that you do what you said you will do in your policies. Moving on, we're just going to quickly look at the different reasons and what auditors check. So non-conformities were closed only on paper. So what they look at is root cause analysis, corrective actions, whether it was verified or not. I mean, you implement a change, then you have to make sure you verify it as well. Internal audits were not completed. They look at your full audit program. They look at, if you had findings, what did you do with the findings, and whether you made sure that there was enough coverage. Management reviews, they look at, how you have performed your management review. Again, it doesn't have to be any fancy dashboard. It doesn't have to be a very nicely written report. But what it needs to cover is cover everything that is important to your management system, whether it is 27001, 9001, doesn't matter. And like I said, if you've got new locations, if you've got new products or services, if there was a restructuring, you had a new system that you got in for customer, ticketing system, then you need to make sure that your management system reflects those changes. Then insufficient evidence, like I said, again, it needs discipline, it needs consistency to make sure that you capture everything you can, especially things like minutes of meeting. It's always good to get it done as soon as you finish the meeting, so it is there. Training is another one that we see very often. Everybody says, yeah, our staff is doing training, we are going through it, but you need evidence. You need evidence of people's certificates. You need evidence that you actually conducted the training, people actually signed off on the training that they have completed. So as an owner of the management system, it is your responsibility to make sure. Again, conformities were just overdue. You said you will fix it by 6 months. You didn't fix it. But the real problem is when you say you'll fix it by 6 months and you don't do anything about it after 6 months. Maybe after 6 months, you come back and say, hey, it's fine, this is there, but we know it's not a big risk or it's not going to cause an operational problem. We will fix it after 3 months. What is important is to document that decision. It's important to get your stakeholder approval on that. You need to show that you have done everything you could. It is not end of the world if you don't fix it, but it can create problems if you decide not to fix it, not to document it, or don't talk about it. That is what auditors don't like. Then you need to, again, your environment, you need to be aware of what is going around you so you can keep yourself updated. We have discussed these points. You need to have complaint records. You need to have, if you have had any escalations, you need to have proper trail of that. And deadlines were missed. Again, important to keep a track and important to keep a calendar. So you need to have a compliance calendar within your organization. It needs to have clear dates when what has to be done. Again, it can be a simple spreadsheet. It can be a simple reminders in your Outlook somewhere, or you just have a timeline. So I think this is where management reviews play a crucial role. Management reviews are a clear checkpoint for any management system. And there is no defined time when you have to have your management reviews, but you should have it every quarter. That is the recommendation. ISO standard doesn't recommend any time. You can have once a year. There is no problem at all. But I feel if you have it every quarter, then you look at your timelines. You think about, okay, when is the next? So the best thing to do is just set up a management review, maybe first week of every month or first Monday of every quarter. Monthly. You can do it monthly as well. There's no harm. Initially, I would prefer we do it every month for 3 months. Then you slowly go to every quarter. So it's important to have it in your calendar, book it out, so you know that you have to do it, and it gives a great checkpoint. It is like having regular project status reports. You have stand-up meetings every day for projects. So this is very similar to that. Again, continual improvement, something that people don't value too much. But again, I said, ISO systems will give you the greatest value if you have the discipline and if you make sure that you follow whatever is there in the policy. Your objectives, you need to look at your objectives more often than not because it might change. Just a few points as to how you can really protect your ISO certification. We are going to share all the slides and all the recordings with you, so there's no need to take notes or anything. So don't worry about that part. So like I said, it's important to maintain a calendar. You can have a spreadsheet or a Word document, but you have to hit the key dates. What I typically do with all our customers is we set up all the management reviews at least 1 year in advance. We just book the calendar. The meeting is there. It may move, it may not happen, but then you have it there and you plan for it. Make sure you do your internal audits on time. Your policies, yeah, that's another thing. Then policies get outdated and people generally forget. So what you can do is, again, have a reminder every year, at least once a year, you should minimum review your policy. You can review it more often, but I feel that's an overkill. But what you can do is you can set up a reminder, again, something that you can do in the management reviews. Then keep policies, yeah, that's what we discussed. Collect operational evidence throughout the year. This is again important. You just have to make sure, track conformities, and then you have to track conformities, corrective actions, and effective reviews. So in short, what it needs is the continuous control. You have to make sure that you do whatever you have to. Moving on, just a brief note about what has to be adapted by standard. I mean, the list is more exhaustive, but we are just kind of given a high level for 27001, security incidents, data breaches, risk treatment, SOA. For 9001, it can be customer complaints, products or service failures, your supplier quality, again, an important part. 14001, you can do your legal obligations, environmental aspects. 45001, accidents, injuries, again, treated as incidents, so you have to log the proper report. 22301, business continuity, again, make sure that you do all your continuity exercises, recovery capability, etc. And then for the AI, which is coming up, Just make sure that you capture all the AI incidents and AI risks. Now, I think most of us know what has to be done. But the reality of life is that we get pulled into different priorities, especially small businesses. They don't have the resources, they don't have the required budget for it. So, what we have seen is there is a limitation of resources within the organization. You always have a competing priority, a new customer, a new project that needs to go live. So, ISO kind of gets kicked back or put on the back burner. Lack of expertise in audit and evidence. We have seen this a fair bit. People think they know what has to be done, or I can use AI to just generate a report. And that creates a problem because of the scope and the correctness of it. So you need somebody who knows what they're doing to do your audits. Your audits are another checkpoint which will help you to fix a lot of issues. And if you just do it like a paperwork or just a checkbox exercise, then you're not getting the benefit and you will have problems. Again, with documentation-based systems, although you can effectively implement it, it needs a lot more work because your controls are in one folder, your evidence are in another folder, and gaps are identified typically when audit approaches. When the audit is due, that's when we start fixing things, and often it is not effective. And the last statement is probably everybody wants to maintain their systems. Everybody wants to make sure whatever money and time they've invested in creating the system is useful and it just doesn't become a set of documents. It is rarely the intent. Everybody want to do it. It is limited capacity, lack of ownership, and sometimes you just don't get the support from management. So these challenges are there everywhere in all the organizations, and this is where we provide value by giving our ISO assurance services. So we have different plans for different businesses. We do something which is more basic every month, which is like checking, making sure you have a calendar, making sure you get your reminders, talking to your team. We also help with documents guidance, and we can provide unlimited support. With the standard plan, what we do is we give access to Comply Track. You'll get access to Comply Track, which is our compliance tracking tool. There is an automated compliance calendar setup. We have a monthly call with your team. You have your own workspace to work from. We make sure that evidence is tracked, logged, and documented. We also manage your corrective actions. And when the surveillance audit comes, we make sure you're prepared for it. We also coordinate with your certification body to make sure we are in line with their agreement terms. And then, of course, we run all your management reviews. Those are like more month on month. They are more effective. But if you're looking for just a recertification support where you have to make sure that everything has to be in line, then we do that as well. And we don't just do all this with just a bunch of documents. What we have built for us and which we offer our customers is Comply Track. This is a system which lets you manage. It allows you to onboard. It allows you to take your existing management system and load into this, so you don't have to recreate a lot of the documents. Our team makes sure that all your controls and risks are synced into this. Then it generates an automated compliance calendar for you. And then you have expert support. And then what it also shows you is your continuous readiness. So with our assurance programs, you don't only just get a bunch of documents or meetings, you get something live which you can track, which you can see what your progress is, you can see what non-conformances you have, and you have an automated calendar which will help you to keep on track of everything. You don't have to use it with our assurance services. You can just sign up and use this tool on your own as well. It has a DIY capability. So what we'll do now is hand it over to Abby, who will just quickly show us the tool. Abby, over to you.
Yep. Thank you, Swapnil, on the brief of ISO process and the implementation. So hi, everyone. First of all, thanks for joining for this collective effort done by Techno-PM. So I'll be taking you through the tool called as Comply Track, which is built by Techno-PM team for monitoring your compliance software, compliance journey management systems. So once you log in, we have a website called as complyagent.com. We'll be sharing you the link. So once you enter, sign up, so you'll get access to Comply Track. So here, you click on Comply Track project creation. You start with project creation. So you'll add your project name, you'll add the description. So if you're existing user, you'll get two options, whether you can use your existing profile data, or if you're new to this tool, then you can add your organization data. So basically you'll add your basic details like company name, company size, which industry, do you have a security team or no, then what are the regions where you operate. So you can select multi, then hosting environment, then do you process any of the data such as European personal data, storage payment, and so on. So if you use any critical systems like CRM, database management, ERP, cloud storage, HR system, then you can choose those. So what it does is it just collects the data and creates as a context for your project. So once you click, you'll enter into Comply Agent software, which is Comply Track. So you can see all the tabs here. So you have two options. Either you can start with AI smart mode or manual mode. So there are two ways. Either you can do it manually by saying that I have own process of implementation. I already have a custom compliance program, so I have already defined it. Then you can choose manually. If not, we have a super tool which automates everything. So we'll choose with AI. So once we choose select AI, then it would ask you to add the profile detail. So you'll verify your profile saying that, okay, my profile is, everything is right. If not, you can correct. And here we have an option where you can add your existing data. So if you're someone who is conducting risk management, so you already maintain your risk register, you have certain policies in place, you have drafted some of the policies. And if not, if you have completed your initial certification, there is you already have your certification and you are coming for improvement or continuous monitoring, then you can dump all of your data here by clicking here, so that it will automatically map to these tabs. So it would go, a risk register would go and sit into the risk module and so on. So you can add your existing data as well. Then it asks you to select the project. So you can select the project, the framework, saying that 27 or SOC 2, 9001, 42001, and so on. And hit on start the ISO 27001 implementation. For now, I have chosen 27. So it automatically loads your controls. So it starts loading the control. And it goes on reviewing, plan, and finalize. So this is a long process. I'll take pre-populated project so that it would be easier for you to understand. Yeah. So it has already loaded some of the controls. Here you can see the controls. So these controls are from our universal control catalog. We have created a dedicated database where we have a dedicated framework-wise controls defined. So these are reviewed by the industry experts, SMEs, and these are being verified. So this controls, whatever you see here listed, are verified. So you can select all of these controls. So ideally, AI would suggest you that based on your data which you provided initially, it suggests you these are the important controls need to be selected. So it also shows the framework coverage. So based on your control selection, it says your framework coverage is for SOC 2 is 7%, for ISMS it is 7%. So either you can do it manually, if not, you can go with the selected AI suggestion. You can also rerun the analysis and then confirm the control selection. It would give you the implementation setup where you can see the framework selection, control implementation, organization context, and what are the key highlights, where how many controls have been selected, what do you operate, what are the cloud databases, what are the regions you select. Similarly, you would see the planning. Next would be planning. So it would give you a foundation plan, control implementation, and so on. So if you click on any of this, you'll see the task. So drafting security governance policy, defining the roles and responsibility, and oversight. So you can assign it. What is the effort? You can ask what is the status of it. You can assign it to a particular person who is invited to this tool and add a due date for it. So if it is exceeding the due date, you will get the notification saying that this project or a task is not been completed. So you'll get notified on that as well. Yeah. So then after you complete, I'll show you certain modules. So you can see task module, you'll see the timeline module based on the project. This is more project driven, so you can monitor your project timeline. Then the core major parts of this tool or any of the implementation is policies, risks, and management review and audit. So our policy center would load certain policy list. So here you can see the required policies. You need information security policy, access control policy, data protection policy, and the list goes on. So any changes made in risk management or any changes made in audit, so the system would automatically understand saying that, okay, the new policy is being required. So it will automatically pop saying that recommended policies. So you'll see recommended policies. You'll see all bunch of the necessary policies here. So how do you create a policy? We have three options. Either you can use AI. So we have a back engine which collects your org context and the implementation plan, and it will automatically tailor and draft a policy based on your context. So you can either choose custom, which is like use AI. So AI will automatically create one policy. You can choose either the manual way, which is you can upload your existing policy. So you can directly, so if you have a quality policy in place, then you can add it and you can later enhance the policy as well. Then we have pre-approved templates. So this comes from our existing toolkits, which we have. So you'll see a bunch of templates here. You can use SMA build templates and customize, tailor it using our enhance with AI as well. So how does a policy look? So what are the process? So the policy would go through the journey, which is not started, then draft, review, and approve. So let's view one of the policies. So this is the structure of policies. Once the policy has been drafted, you can see awareness and training policy. You can see the organization name. You can see department. You can see the revision, classification, and so on. You'll find the table of context. You can directly click on it. So it will automatically drag and load you to the section. The core important aspect which I want to show, which is where we have the most value, is it automatically maps the policy to the control. So here you can see training and awareness. It has mapped to security awareness training program. So if you click on it, so it will automatically drag and say, so you have covered this section, covers this particular control. Similarly, it maps to the control. What else? It also maps and asks you required evidences for each control. So you can see the list of evidences here. So security awareness training program would require training completion records, training materials, awareness metrics, and a policy document, which we already have here. Similarly, we can edit any of the section. So you can directly draft a plain policy and you can do it manually. You can add section, you can remove sections, you can delete the sections, you can completely customize this document and save it. And we have enhanced with AI, so it will automatically enhance the document. If you have a blank document, only data has been added and it should be customized as per your scope of implementation. Yes, AI does the job. Moving ahead, this is how the policy center would look like. So you would see the dashboard where you can see policy approved, review, control coverage, and if you have a bulk policies already in place, you can also get the bulk upload options as well. We have format setting. If you use a custom format and a systematic format for your organization, then you can give a reference document here and add your logo. So it will automatically extract and add your formatting for the policies. Moving ahead, I'll show you the controls section. Yeah, one thing I missed to show is if you don't find any of the policies in the list, we also have custom policy creation option. So you might follow some custom policy maintenance. So if you want to add it into your compliance journey, yes, you can add it using custom policy creation. You can directly add your custom policy, name it, categorize it, provide a description, and add the review date and effective date as well. So moving ahead towards the controls. So here you can see the controls, list of controls. You can see the status, whether it is implemented or not. You can also see the health score. So based on if any control has been assigned, then it would count as 15 points. If the policy has been linked, then it counts as 20. So this is a matrix of how the health score is being monitored for particular control. If you view any of the control, then this is how control details would land up. So you will see control ID, version, category, ownership, then the clause references for a control, linkage of the policies for particular control. You can see control effectiveness and the framework mapping for each control as well. So if you click on any of these, so it will automatically land to that particular mapped policy as well. Yeah. So coming back to the risks. So similarly, we have controls, custom controls. You can add a custom control as well. And you can also monitor your custom control and use it for auditing as well. Risk module is more where you'll find the risk matrix and AI analysis, where it says which are on priority, how many are in critical stage, high, medium, low. You can configure your risk matrix. You can add your risks, or you can create a risk. So you can add risk title, description. You can add a category of the risk. Likelihood, you can define likelihood, impact, risk owner, and add it to the risk register. This is how the risk register would look like. So as
Abby, just a question. Can you just talk for like how the risks are generated, how the process works, and how easy is it to do the risk assessment with the tool?
Sure. So we have a backend engine which analyzes based on your controls, based on your policies, based on your implementation plan. So here we have something called as analyze risk. Once you hit on analyze risk, AI engine will automatically analyze certain risks. It will analyze all the compliance gap, monitor all the evidences, and provide you the list of risks which would be drafted in risk register. So it is currently analyzing it. Let's wait till it completes. Once the risk analysis is being completed, you will see certain risks, so which are into the risk register. Yeah, so there are 25 risks. It has analyzed and it has populated it to the risk register, and you can see the risk matrix. So it will automatically customize the risk matrix as well. And then it will be drafted into the risk register. So you can also see the origin of this. So once you complete your risk analysis using this risk AI, you will see the origin of the risks. So if you conduct the risk analysis, you will see the origin of risk is AI analysis. If the system has automatically taken, so there is a backend wiring where it automatically analyzes and it provides without AI analysis, it marked as effectiveness. So what is that risk? So annual penetration testing is ineffective. So what is the cause? It will give you the risk statement. What is the effective engine? So it is identified by the engine, backend engine. Then we have the linked control for it, which has been not completed. So it has considered, the system has considered this as a risk. So AI has done its analysis saying that for this control, we require a particular status to be completed. That means you have to implement this control effectively. So what would be the remediation? It has given the likelihood and impact score. And then for this, you can choose the risk treatment plan. So you can identify the key assets, key risks using either scenario based or using the control effectiveness or the AI analysis. And then you can use any of the treatment methods, saying that whether you can accept, mitigate, transfer, avoid, or monitor. So if you accept, then you need to give a description for it, saying that why do you accept, and you can draft your treatment plan and close, like you can monitor your progress of each risk. Similarly, you can assign it for an owner, and you can also assign it to an action owner who would provide the evidences as well.
Abby, just time check. I think we are over time, so we probably have to finish the demo in a couple of minutes.
Sure. So I'll just quickly go through the evidence and review and conformance module. So similarly, based on your control selection, based on your policy selections, based on your risk analysis, system would automatically provide a list of controls, list of evidences required based on your control selection. Based on the universal control, so you can see system has expected evidences. So these are the list of evidences. You can upload those, and you can also link the policies as an evidence. You can see the linked risk for particular evidence. You can preview any of the document uploaded. Next, moving ahead to audit module. So audit module here, once you initiate an audit and schedule an audit, you can see the audit progress tracker, where you can see an auditor who would review your controls, what is the progress of the policy reviewed, evidence reviewed, and so on. You can track, you can add the evidence issues. You can also track the audit history. Similarly, we'll go with management reviews. So you can see the management review. You can create a management review and have a look at the review deck. So this would be easier for your presentation. Similarly, you can export the audit review and have a meeting. So you can see all the statistics of the review. Moving ahead, conformance module, where you will track your nonconformities post-audit. So you can track your issues, the journey of it. You can see the overview of. So I'll just open the whole workspace. So this is the journey life process of a nonconformity. You can see it starts with investigation, then corrective action, corrective plan, verification, closure, and effectiveness. You'll see the overview, investigation. You will do the root cause analysis by adding the category, root cause, preventive action, corrective action, corrective plan, verification, effectiveness, and governance history. So this is how the tool helps you to monitor your non-conformities as well. Yep. So this was
universal control catalog.
Sure. So this is the universal control catalog which I was discussing earlier. So let it load the risks, load the controls. Yeah. So here you can see the semi-generated reviewed controls. So you can select framework and select exact mapping and see how the controls have been drafted. You can review the control as well. The quality of the control, you'll see the basic information. What is the title of the control? What is the category, description of the control objective? And you'll also get an implementation plan on how to implement and execute this control. So you'll get implementation guidance, evidence examples required for a control, and operational details. Similarly, you'll find the framework mapping for each control. So you'll see certain controls mapped. ISO 22301, this control is an exact map. ISO 27001, this is an exact map. So this is how the quality of each control and the control catalog would look like. Yep.
Yeah, and the compliance calendar, Abby?
Yeah, sure. So I'm next is the tool which I'm going to show is compliance calendar. So this tool is for people who wants to monitor, who wants to track their compliance management using this tool. So you can create your compliance calendar by selecting a name. So if you're already using your fast track or comply track from comply agent, then you can directly link it to the project. So it will automatically validate the project context. It will import the project context. Then it will understand what is the company name, what is the industry, employees, primary country, certification goal, scope description, in-scope system, in-scope location, exclusions, who are the ISMS owner, approval authority, and so. You can also see the mapping of the controls used in your certification process. Once the import is done, this is very crucial. When was your certification issued? So you will select the issue date. So it will automatically calculate when will be your recertification, when is the surveillance audit 2 will continue, and will generate your compliance calendar. So it covers all the details. So it will give you a brief roadmap on how to manage your compliance, what all things to be covered. It will automatically send you the notification on the task required post issuance of your certification as well. So this is the roadmap. You'll see once your certification is complete, you need to go through the surveillance audit, which is on August 2, 2027, based on your selected date of certification issuance. Surveillance audit 2, recertification. So what are the activities required for first year? So here you can see These are the activities you have to review and update the information security policy. Category, you can assign an owner by editing. You can add estimated date, status, and so on. This is how you can monitor each of the activities for particular year and track your activities in the dashboard. Similarly, you'll find all of this. You can delete or you can add a new activity as well. Similarly, it goes on for year 2, year 3, and then the notification. So you can configure your notification reminders. So you can enable it. So you can select the frequency on how often do you need a reminder for particular tasks. So you can select the frequency, when it should be sent, Mondays, so you can select the date, timing, time zone. Then who does this notification should receive? Then you can use the existing workspace of comply track or comply agent, or you can select a specific person. You can select the name, email, and it will automatically send you the notification. So you can also see the preview of how the notification will be sent. So you'll see the compliance reminder, workspace, what is the task, progress, total task, upcoming, due, overdue, and completion. So this is how you configure your notification setup. So
All
once
right.
you, yeah,
So, I think we're almost out of time.
sure.
Thank you very much. It was a great demo, and I can see everybody is engaged as well. We are more than happy to show a demo to you or your team or your clients. Please reach out to us if you want us to organize a custom demo, and we'll be glad to help you with that. So just before we drop off, one quick, unfortunately, we don't have the time for Q&A today, but we are happy to respond to any questions if you send us via email. We'll be reaching out with the presentation shortly after this webinar. So if you have any questions or Q&A, please try to email and then we'll get back. In terms of how we support, we do a free health review for everyone who has a certification in place. This is totally free. You can just reach out to us. Shortly, there will be a link in the chat to book a free ISO consultation session. We have other packages as well, but if you want to do a free health review of your ISO system, please reach out. And these are customers, this fast track. In terms of the Q&A, we can probably just spend a minute. How long an ISO certification remains valid? We just spoke about it. 3 years. What happens in year 1, 2, and 3? We discussed that. I think we went in detail with the surveillance audit. When the certification prep began, I would say ideally 3 months. But if you have been disciplined and involved with your system, you don't need to do any prep in reality. But that's not the case. We understand what evidence must be available. We discussed that. We also discussed on how you handle non-conformances, continual improvement. I think the best way to demonstrate continual improvement is that you include it as part of your management reviews, and you document the changes you have done to improve the system. You put it in your minutes of meeting, and so you have proof that you have actually been doing and trying to do continual improvement. You're trying to do it whether the organization has the budget or the resources or not. That's a different problem. What support smaller organizations need an internal company? Of course, support in terms of, I know it's hard for a dedicated person to do ISO, and that's where we help with our assurance package. You can, it's a very simple way of working. How same principle applies. It differs, but see, ISO, I would say 20 to 30% of it is same across all the standards. Right? We all of us know that. But for 27001 and maybe things like the AI governance, there's a bigger overlap. But for the OHS or the 9001, 14001, and 45001, there's almost 40 to 50% overlap. So you should always implement it together if your plan is to go, because then it makes it very easy. You can have one common manual, you can have one common policy across. And then host systems are integrated and maintained together. Again, there are overlapping controls, there are overlapping policies. They are definitely one thing is like you can do your management reviews. You can just do one review for all the whole IMS. You can just have one register to maintain all your continual improvement, your non-conformances. Essentially, the effort reduces a lot for maintenance. Initially, implementation might be slightly different, but 27001 and 42001 are overlapping a lot. So there's definitely value in that. So I'm sorry, we are not able to take more questions because we are out of time. So there should be a link for you to book the consultation or any other help we need. Please reach out. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We'll see you at the next webinar. Thank you, everybody. Bye.